So in pairs, what I want you to do is hold a conversation about anything at all. It could be something you're learning, something you find interesting, something maybe you find interesting about the UK or about elsewhere or about anything else.
Weather.
And yeah, or the weather. And one of you match the other one. So one of you does most of the talking, and then the other one, your job is to build rapport. So don't mimic, don't just copy something because you've seen someone do it, but when you get to like your bit in a conversation or anything, your job is to match what they're doing and to try and build that rapport, match maybe their breathing, see what you can notice as well. So see if you can notice things like their breathing, see what you can notice as you're doing it. So and then the idea for the other person is to have a think about what it feels like, and then do it a second time, but don't do anything. So carry on the conversation, but literally you don't have to sit on your hands unless you need to stop them moving. Literally just be as deadpan as you can, so as expressionless, and just listen and see how well the person gets talking when you're not responding in a productive way. So yeah, so pair up. So with the first one, what was your experience of matching someone as they're talking away?
Well, I gave Jason no idea when I was going to stop having rapport with him.
Yeah.
I didn't say, right, let's do it the other way now. I was going along with him, nodding with him, agreeing with him, talking to him, and then I stopped. And I think it must have taken at least 3 or 4 seconds before Jason realised, and then he immediately felt uncomfortable.
It was difficult to keep talking. It was my thoughts. I couldn't remember what to say, and it was very disruptive. Without the energetic support of the other end of the conversation, my generation of the conversation wanted to stop immediately.
And yet you was talking about something you absolutely love, which is music.
Yeah, it's something that I can talk about and have lots of things to say, and as soon as that energy, it feels like an energy shift. He's still looking at me,
Still smiling.
It's my words are not being received. They're not landing in a friendly way over there. Yeah.
And I think there's nothing wrong with silence, and there's nothing wrong with someone not saying something back, but it's even those little things, like just someone going, or just, it doesn't matter how subtle. You know, I've done therapy sessions where I've nearly not spoken at all. Apart from saying hello at the beginning, I've not had to say hardly anything for the entire session because they do enough talking for the two of us, but they've only carried on talking because I'm still giving them some kind of feedback, never mind how subtle, that lets them know it's okay to carry on, you're heading in the right direction. But again, it can be a good skill because it means when you do suddenly stop all feedback, one way of bringing something to an end without telling them that it's time to bring it to an end is you suddenly stop giving the feedback, and that way they can't have a go at you for anything because you haven't had to tell them, oh, just shut up. You haven't had to say anything, but you know you've just instigated bringing that to an end. You're not showing good or bad reactions, because obviously bad reaction could also lead to it carrying on. So say it's with a teenager, it could be that the no reaction is the thing they need. They need that sort of, I have nothing to bounce off of to keep me going, to keep me angry with you or anything. Whereas if you said, stop doing this, stop doing that, that's going to make them worse. If you said, oh, it sounds like it's really difficult for you, then they're going to keep saying, yes, it is, and they're going to keep going. So it's just sit there and wait. And don't do or say anything, just sit and wait. So even the non-engagement can be a good tool. What about the breathing?
More difficult. I thought that would be easy. I thought that would be the easy one of these exercises. But that was more difficult. Number one, well, when Chris talks, he moves around a lot. And actually, we did it in silence first, but then we started talking because maybe it's because we're thinking about it. So then you were talking to him and I was watching you and still doing it, attempting to do it. And I found it very challenging to even kind of really see his breathing pattern while he's being animated. And then even when I could see it, to match. I think ultimately you want to match it without being obvious about it. And I felt like, even if I'm matching it, it's taking all of my energy and focus to do this. So I thought that one would be easier, and it was more challenging.
It's noticing the breathing that's the trick, not so much the matching. The matching's not too bad. When someone talks a lot, obviously matching breathing can be tricky, but it could be that you halve your or double your breathing rate. So if they do these big long bits of talking, you could breathe out and in and then out again, so that you end at the point they end, but you've had 2 breaths in that time period. But it's having that, how am I in sync with you, is the important thing. If you approach it as, I'm just going to be really curious and really interested in you as a person and wanting to know as much about you as possible because I like the idea of knowing you, then you do naturally start doing it. But obviously, even though you naturally start doing it, it's nice to give it a helping hand so that you can use it as an actual technique, because what you don't naturally start doing is leading it. So you naturally start matching it, and that will eventually happen as long as you two are on the same sort of page, but you won't necessarily start utilising the fact that you're matching it. So it's being able to make sure you can notice it well enough, and know, because again, you imagine falling in sync with somebody and matching something and thinking, I just feel so exhausted when I'm with them, and it's because you're breathing out so much versus breathing in, because they're doing a lot of the talking. So if you're aware of that, you can then think, right, let's do double the breaths for myself to every one of theirs or something. So but it is more about just being aware of it so that you can actually choose to do it rather than just rely on it being natural, because all the rapport stuff obviously naturally happens. But just because it naturally happens doesn't mean you then utilise what's naturally happening, and it's how you can direct that. So we naturally do fall in rapport, but we don't. What you want is to be able to then move that on. So how do you then move on to the next step? How do you take what you've done so that you're now guiding the person down a healthier route? Like if someone, as we've discussed already, if someone sits in a very unconfident way and talks about being unconfident and is there because they're not confident, then matching them, building rapport with them, and then gradually putting yourself into a more comfortable and confident position will gradually guide them into that more comfortable, confident position and give them those feelings. And you're not telling them to do that, you're just helping them, guiding them into that.
If you enjoy this, find it helpful, just subscribe below and please leave a comment and give it a thumbs up.